It's an honor to host you again, Mrs. Shaw. Thank you so much for making time for this conversation.
No, you're most welcome. Yeah, go ahead. Let's start.
Super.
Yeah, let's start.
Sure. Thank you so much, Mrs. Shaw, again for joining us today afternoon to inspire our entrepreneurs who are on the call. All the entrepreneurs on the call are the existing incubatees of MSMF incubation program. Thank you so much again for creating this ecosystem for all the enterprises. Before I move ahead formally, I would like to invite Dr. Paul Salins to set the tone and context for the session, and post which I'll formally introduce you. I'll ask a few questions, and then our entrepreneurs here would like to ask you a few questions and take inspiration and learning from your experiences.
Sure.
Dr. Paul, I hand it over to you.
Yeah, it's a great honor and pleasure for us to have Dr. Mazumdar. As you know, everybody knows her. And in the past few days, we have been hearing about the enormous strides she has made to take our country forward to the next dimension. And of the years that I've spent Dr. Mazumdar, if at all I've learned one thing, it is that her capacity to combine her vision with passion, with enormous knowledge. Very often it is astounding. The scientists are not able to describe such lucidity the sort of work they are doing as much as she can. When we are describing immunil or something like that, sometimes it's mind-boggling to the amount of detail she can actually go through. So that attention to detail, I think, is amazing. And secondly, working with her, I realized that you cannot neglect even the smallest detail, because she is interested even how the coffee room should look and how the things should move. See, if you have already a bandwidth which encompasses the entire spectrum of your work, there can be no doubt that it will be progressing. And people who work with you, and every time I meet Dr. Mazumdar, I have to think twice or thrice. Once from my own perspective, another from her perspective, how things would be. And if at all there is anything, a greater learning, that's why I'm so grateful that Dr. Mazumdar is here to talk to our startup. And the third one, I think, which I should quickly mention, is her eclectic capability. Very often when we speak to the startup, they're so narrow and brought down into very little. There is nothing much to inspire and challenge. They think of practicalities alone. If at all, one thing I have learned from Dr. Mazumdar, which I tremendously admire, in one hand, she is constantly responding to social needs and actually answering questions, which creates one dimension of capability in her mind. Another one, her understanding of art. When you're surrounded with beauty, automatically you create harmony. And I think science is all about harmony, and that is tremendous. And as you go forward, you create a culture. And ultimately, if at all that I've learned, is that with Dr. Mazumdar, it is not just about creating an enterprise, but a culture which will make such an enterprise a tremendous experience to be with. And that's exactly what we have done with the Mazumdar Center for Innovation and our all startup. So it's a great honor for us to have you, Kiran, and I'm delighted that you are here to inspire our startups. Thank you very much indeed.
No, it's my pleasure, Paul, and I'm delighted to be here. So Rohit, you can go ahead and ask me the questions.
Sure. Thank you so much, Dr. Paul. Thank you so much, Ms. Kiran Mazumdar Shaw. In fact, I'll also take the honor of introducing Ms. Shaw here. She's a pioneer of the biotechnology industry in India and the founder of country's leading biotechnology enterprise, Biocon. Named among Time magazine's 100 most influential people globally, Ms. Mazumdar Shaw is recognized as a thought leader who has made her country proud by building a globally recognized biopharmaceutical enterprise committed to innovation and affordability in delivering best-in-class therapeutics to patients across the globe. As a global influencer, she is ranked among world's 25 most influential people in biopharma by Fierce Biotech, Forbes magazine, world's 100 most powerful women, and Fortune's top 25 powerful women in Asia Pacific. She's been recognized as the only Indian on Forbes list of world's self-made women billionaires. The list of her achievements and recognition are very, very long. And needless to say, she is also the governing council member at MSMF TBI. Thank you so much, ma'am. It's again an honor and pleasure to host you today and inspire all the entrepreneurs with your experience. To start the conversation, I would first like to ask, the entrepreneurs on the call are all incubated with MSMF and have crossed the initial valley of death phase in their journey. My question to you, ma'am, is what is your advice to these enterprises to scale or move towards the next stage successfully?
Yeah, so I think this is a very important question because I think any entrepreneur who has actually gone through the valley of death knows that it is important to sustain and survive. And it is very important then to know that survival is about growth and scale. And if you don't know how to grow and scale, your success or your ability to sustain will be very limited. So I really would request all entrepreneurs to focus a lot on scaling, because the fact that you've gone through the valley of death means that you have gone through a struggle. You know what it means to basically stay alive, and you know what it means to basically move forward. So if you have not learned that it is about scaling up and it is about basically focusing on a business model that understands market demand, market needs, and how you can basically take your product to market and scale it, then it becomes a real challenge, because just coming out of the valley of death and remaining a stunted organization is not the way you build a company. So I think depending on all the entrepreneurial companies that there are on this particular Zoom call, I would like to say to all of you that I would really like to understand how you are thinking about scaling your business. And when you say scaling your business, what is that scale you're looking at? Is it and scale must be about basically in the initial stages, it has to be exponential. And it's only when you get to a certain level, then you can think about incremental growth. But you have to think about exponential growth. So I'm just saying, I've often seen companies who have started with, maybe 1 crore of sales in the first year, and they're very happy. And I keep telling them, if you don't double this sale every year and get to 10, you must know when you're going to get to 10 crores, and what is the resources you need? What is it going to cost you to get to 10 crores? How much profit are you going to make out of 10 crores? And if you don't have that kind of visibility and you're quite happy just chugging along at 1 crore and making maybe 5 lakhs of profit a year, and you're quite happy doing that, then you will never build a company. So that is my real message to all of you, that you must think of exponentially growing your businesses to a scale that allows you then to think big. So it's only when you get to a certain scale that you can start saying, okay, I can actually think of the next big level I can get to by doing X, Y, and Z. Very often the X, Y, and Z can be about a new product line. It could be about, acquiring a small business. It could mean about licensing something new. All that can only happen if you reach some scale. Okay.
Sure. Well said, Ms. Shaw. In fact, the second question that I have is something that you personally experienced as well. Building a healthcare product startup in India requires a very long gestation period. And during this time, entrepreneurs can lose their steam or hope because it's a very long haul. The question that I have for you there how can entrepreneurs keep their spirits high and keep going through this long phase?
So, actually, I say this to most entrepreneurs. You see, in India, unfortunately, we don't have a VC culture, right? So if you have got adequate funding to shape your idea, you're okay. But if you don't have adequate money to shape your idea, then you're going to get very frustrated if you're not generating some income. So very often what I see is that most smart entrepreneurs think of a service line that can actually give them income whilst they basically focus on what they are trying to do. So I'll give you an example. I know that Exciton is a company that provides diagnostics for microbial diagnostics. It provides. Okay, so it basically tells you it's an infection panel that they've developed. And their whole thing is that, they can actually, with one sample of blood, they can actually tell you what kind of infection you have and what is the antibiotic that is most likely to work on this particular infection. So that is their basic method, that technology and proprietary technology they were trying to build. But in the process of doing that, obviously, it was going to take them a few years before they actually came up with such a diagnostic. Now, what do you do in the meantime? So in the meantime, they started offering normal diagnostics and said, chalo, we'll offer you some diagnostic services, at least that will give us some income whilst we develop this product. So I'm just saying that even today, I was very impressed with Anu Acharya, Map My Genome. Okay. She's been trying to develop a genomics company for a long time. Okay. And she's been trying to mimic the 23andMe model, where basically, you're able to do ancestral genomics and provide people with, their genome patri, as she calls it, which basically tells you what is your propensity for different kinds of diseases, whether it's heart disease or diabetes or cancer. I mean, this is what you're supposed to do. And ancestral genomics, of course, gives you a lot of interesting ancestral, sort of origins of where you've come from, which a lot of people want to understand. Now, this is not a business like it is in the West. In the West, I don't mind spending $10 to get my genome patri read. Here, maybe I would like to do it in, maybe if I do it in, if we can do it in that 500 rupees or something, okay, I might think about it, but not everybody wants to do it, right? Because it's not really giving you a diagnostic readout. It is just giving you some very interesting information. So if people want to spend some money knowing their ancestral past, they might do it. So that was not an easy business to get people understanding it. Then she started something called mother and child genomics. And that mother and child genomics, she said, is to say whether is there any genetic disease that the child is inheriting from the mother. So those were the kind of things she started doing. Even that was not such a big business for her. So now what she's doing is, because of the pandemic and everybody's interest to know about, which particular COVID-19 variant have you been infected with, and everyone wants to now know about whether they've got long COVID, whether they've got some other disease. Now she's trying to combine biochemistry with genomics to tell you what your disease profile is. So you see, what I'm trying to say is that she's trying to say that even if you've got diabetes, your genomic profile is such that you will not have a problem manifesting into cardiac complications. Things like that she's trying to do. So she keeps on reinventing her business to keep going. So I'm just trying to give you different people's models of how to basically stay alive, and sustain their businesses, because you can, it's a gestational business, and you can basically tire of it. And you can basically get very frustrated that you're not seeing the kind of results. And I can tell you a large number of biotech companies in the US who are purely venture funded, have a limited amount of venture funding. And when they start running out of those funds, they really panic, because for them, that valley of death that you described is extremely important, because it's a survival. And the gestational part is so frustrating, because you have to do a clinical trial. For any reason, the clinical trial gets delayed, or you have to take on more subjects into your clinical trial and you don't have money. It is very frustrating. So I think you also have to look at, if you have a novel idea, what you should also look at is, can you find a partner? Can you license this asset somewhere else? Business development is something you have to do simultaneously while you're building your business.
Interesting. My next question, ma'am, is also connected, where entrepreneurs face the challenge of multitasking. What is your guru mantra to balance marketing, product development, funding, team building, and multiple other activities that entrepreneurs have to multitask and manage all of these activities?
My mantra is find a good team. My mantra has always been about share the responsibilities with a crack team. I always had a very good team with me where we shared the responsibilities. I would do certain things, colleague A would do certain things, colleague B would do certain things, colleague C would do certain things, colleague D would do certain things. I'm just giving you that as an example. So having a team which shares the responsibilities and has a collective buy-in to what you're doing is extremely important. It is not about your idea. It is about, can you get people to buy into your idea? And that's the team that buys into your idea and agrees that it's a great idea. And if you have a team that believes in that idea, then the team needs to share the responsibilities to shape the idea. And the team needs to have the conviction to not just shape and build the idea, but to take that idea to the market. So you've got to have a team that stays with you all the way through to taking it to the market.
Interesting and well said. My next question, ma'am, to you is, fundraising seems to be one of the most spoken about activity. We celebrate unicorns, but not achieving large business deals. While fundraising is important, where should the entrepreneurs draw a line between fundraising and building the business by earning from customers?
I don't really think one should really do this or that. I think fundraising is an important part of ascribing value to what you're doing. And if you can raise a higher fund, so be it. That's very, very exciting. If I start by raising, say, I'm just giving you an example. Supposing I started by, getting 10 lakhs of BIRAC funding, say, for instance. And in my next round of funding, a VC is willing to give me 1 crore. And in the next round, a VC is willing to give me 10 crores. Then my idea is very exciting. Why would I not accept 10 crores? Why do I always need to build a business by earning? If I can shape my idea, which is, if people think my idea is cool, and if people want to invest in my idea, it means that I'm onto something really big. Okay?
Absolutely. My next question, identifying talent, team building, and retaining them is another big challenge for entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are strapped for funds and resources to go and spend on building the team. How can we keep the team members glued to the business and focus on achieving the goals? What is your mantra? What is your suggestion of how do we go out and actually build the team, inspire people to work towards the same shared vision?
So, I've always looked at, as I mentioned, having a team that, shares your ideas, shares your goals, shares your passion and vision. And of course, you must be able to then give stocks or shares to that crack team. I'm saying you need that leadership team. You need that group of people who are going to build that company. And those people need to have some skin in the game. So you've got to basically also give them some share of, the company. And that's what will keep them grounded, bonded, and committed. So I personally believe that you've got to start issuing shares of the company right from the very start. So that starting capital, having a founding team that has ownership of the company and the idea is very important.
And how does one ensure that the team member to whom you are actually giving a share in the company would actually run the same marathon with you for a long period of time and not lose the steam?
Well, you know that the share is only worth what it is when you get to the end, when you get to the finishing line. So if somebody gives up midway, obviously the shares mean nothing. The shares are given up, right? Shares don't stay with you. Shares will only stay with you till it goes public or till it's acquired, right?
Absolutely.
I've invested in companies where they've not gone public, but they've been acquired. And there have been issues where the founder has not shared wealth with co-founders in an equitable way. So that founder did have problems. And we actually, counseled the founder saying, if you want to have a good team, you have to share your wealth. You cannot just keep it all for yourself because you're the founder. Because these people are going to help you build the company. If you don't give it to them, why should they help you build the company? Then you run the risk of them leaving you. Because what's in it for them? Yes, if you have employees working for you, that's a very different way of running a company. But these days, any tech company, any startup needs to have a founding team who all take ownership in every sense of the word. And for some of that ownership, you need to have some stock.
Absolutely. Another important question that I would want to bring attention towards is developing a vision. It is one of the most underrated activities for quite a few people. How can we create solid visions and inspire customers, team members, and the entire ecosystem to align with it and support us in achieving this vision?
I don't like the word vision. I like the word purpose. I think every company must have a business purpose. You have to be objective. Why am I doing this? What is the purpose of doing this? What do I want to achieve? Right? That then sets your vision. So I'm just saying, if you've got I'm sure you've got some very exciting companies there. Each one of them has to ask these questions. Why am I developing this device? Why am I developing this diagnostic? What is the purpose of this diagnostic? Why am I so excited about developing this diagnostic? What do I want to do about this product? How do I want to build this business? Why should people want my product? And am I addressing an unmet need? Am I doing something that is impactful? That will then give you the vision of where you want to be. So when I started Biocon, I was developing enzymes and enzyme technologies. And the question I asked is, why enzymes? Why is developing enzymes so exciting? What should be my business purpose of developing enzyme technologies? And it became very obvious to me after answering all these questions that, hey, this is very exciting because I'm making an impact on chemical pollution. I can actually replace chemical pollution with eco-friendly enzyme technologies. That's a great purpose. And that's something that can drive you in a very, very impactful way, because a purpose is something that incentivizes you to do better and more, right? And now I'm in this whole purpose of affordable healthcare. And therefore, whatever I'm doing, I'm trying to say whatever we make must be affordable. We must be cost competitive. We must make technologies that are very, very cost effective. So that gives you the sense of purpose and that vision that I want to make global impact on healthcare so that I provide affordable access to whatever products I'm making to patients anywhere in the world who needs it.
Wow, truly inspiring. And I don't want to keep asking all the questions. I would also want our entrepreneurs to interact with ma'am, ask their questions, and get inspired firsthand. And in that line, we have a few questions for you. I would first like to invite Divyakshi Kaushik, founder of Anatomech, to ask her question to you. Divyakshi?
Hi, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Hello, ma'am. I'm Divyakshi. I am the founder of Anatomech, and we are developing wearable technology for rehabilitative therapy, post-injury and surgery outcomes. So my question to you would be that the purpose of the vision that you just spoke about, how do we translate it? So while scaling, how do we translate it to each of the team members that are joining in so that we ensure that we are accelerating? And also while scaling, what are the fires that you let burn and what are the fires that you extinguish?
No, so I'll ask you a question. What do you think your wearable technology does?
So it's helping rehabilitate these patients that require lifetime management. So we are addressing breast cancer related lymphedema at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
And why, and how do you think people, do you think this is an unmet need?
Yes, ma'am, because they require a therapy on daily basis, which they are not able to comply to because we don't have any services for them at the moment in India specifically. So it is an unmet need.
Okay, and you know, when by doing this, the cancer patient recovers faster?
Ma'am, there is no solution to this at the moment. The patient does not recover. They require therapy lifelong. So
yeah. No, what I'm saying is it helps them to feel better, right? So the quality of life improves for them.
That's right, ma'am.
Right?
Yeah.
And they don't need a doctor to do it, I assume.
That's right.
Right? And I assume the wearable is also giving data to the doctor who's looking after the patient.
That's right, ma'am.
Yeah. So I think what you need to say to yourself is that this is a huge boon to cancer patients, right? Breast cancer patients.
That's right.
Right? So your purpose is what? Your purpose is that this is something, so this is about breast cancer patients, right?
Yes.
And you feel that this is going to make a big difference to breast cancer patients. This is something which I think is, you need a team members who have some understanding of breast cancer and why this is so important. You need a patient advocacy to say how important it is because how they've benefited from this. You need to have some feedback loop from patients. Okay, to give you that sense of vision. You have, and why are you doing all this? What is it that drove you to do this?
So, ma'am, I connected with a therapist in oncology who has been managing her own lymphedema, and we were developing compression therapy at that point of time. So that is how we started working with her, and we understood all the issues that go on post-surgery outcomes, mastectomy outcomes, what it leads to, and how it needs to be catered to, and that's where we started.
Okay. And what is the feedback you've had from patients and doctors, and how has your wearable done in terms of being accepted?
So, ma'am, we are still in the preclinical phase at the moment. So we will be going into the early clinical trials soon. The general discussions that have been going on with oncosurgeons, it is a very exciting product for them, and they would like to see how they can push it out to patients. But at the moment, the price point is an issue. That's the only issue that they have kind of been mentioning. But in terms of the technology and the product, it is exciting to both the oncosurgeons, the
So
patients.
what is the price point at the moment?
So, ma'am, currently available pneumatic compression technologies start from around 95,000 to go up to 5 lakh rupees, but ours is priced around 60,000 rupees. But for individual use, it would be very expensive. But if it is installed at common cancer care centers, then we could kind of come up with a pay-per-use model in that case.
Okay. So I think first and foremost, you need a team that feels excited about the product you're developing.
Right.
So it could be people who have got cancer patients in their family, or they themselves are cancer patients, whatever it is, you need to have some connect with why they are so interested in what you're doing.
Right.
So try and develop a team of people who feel that what you're doing is very important, because this is not going to be a billion-dollar business as such.
Right.
This is going to be a business that's going to be an interesting business. It addresses a need. You have to size and scale your business to know how big can this be, because you know that in terms of the number of breast cancer patients, there are the number is large, right? The question is, how do you get to them? Are you going to do a pay-per-use kind of a thing that you install, like you said, a machine at some center and people can just come during a daycare? You just have a clinic, you set up that machine and people come and use it. Breast cancer patients can come and use it every day or every other day or whatever it is, and you pay for use, so that it doesn't become like that 60,000 rupees. Nobody, if it costs them 1,000 rupees per use, that becomes something which is quite a good business model to look at.
Right.
So you need to now think about how you're going to get your business model worked out. Right. It's not about making hundreds of these machines and that's your business model. Your business model have to be, how are patients going to afford this? How am I going to get patients to pay for using this machine, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am. So I mean,
so you need somebody who's a business-minded person, a marketing business-minded person who can work out a business model that's good for you. You need a person who's an engineering person who knows how this machine has to be, how can be better refined or the cost can be brought down. Yes. You need a person who is obviously, looking at other technologies to co-opt into that thing. So you need a mixture of people who are engineers, business developers, business development people. You need people, of course, you need financially savvy people to make sure that you have you run a tight ship. Right. And then you need quality control, people who are in that quality sphere where you know what is going to be the specifications, the quality around the product. Those are things that you'll have to think about.
Right.
Right? Manufacturing, quality, marketing, business development, partnerships with hospitals, so many things you have to do. Right. So you need somebody who's a good business development person, a good marketing person, and a good, engineering person. So you need that small crack team who I'm sure will be very excited.
Got it, ma'am.
Thank you so much. And
thank you, ma'am, so much for answering that.
I hope Divya found her answer that she was looking for. Moving next to Vishnu Vardhan, founder of People Learning Private Limited. Vishnu, over to you.
Hello, ma'am. Good afternoon. Ma'am, like when you are handling a very big organization, like, I just want to know how you manage your anger. Like, when the things are not going as per the plan, when your team are not working, completing work as per the given time, when the small human mistakes, making a big thing damages for your company. So how you are managing your anger?
No, I think what you have to do is you have to basically get those people together and sit down and tell them, look, this is a huge problem. How do we solve it? Okay, you made a mistake, but how do we solve it? And I never want this mistake to be made again. But do you understand the mistake you have made and what it is costing us? And if you can have such conversations with your people, you will get better results. Just losing your temper and shouting at people doesn't get the problem resolved. But bringing people, making them understand that it's a huge problem which has happened out of negligence or a human error, but that how do we now resolve it and make sure it never happens again is really what you need to do.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you.
I hope it answers your question, Vishnu.
Yes, please.
Moving next to Dr. Preeti Nigam Joshi, founder of Fast Sense Innovations Private Limited. Dr. Preeti, over to you. Dr. Preeti, you are on mute. You need to unmute.
Yeah, thank you, Rohit. And today, ma'am, it's an honor to have this opportunity to interact with you. And you are a kind of inspiration for all of us and a source of motivation to contribute in our respective fields we are working on. We are in diagnostic industry, ma'am, and we are developing plug and play kind of devices for anywhere, any kind of diagnosis. And we are targeting cancer and neonatal sepsis. So today, ma'am, my question is, when we are talking about diagnostic fields, there are very limited kind of platform technologies, like in terms of detection, we talk about lateral flow or optical or electrochemical. So my question is, if even big companies are working on similar, you can say, platforms, so how as a startup we can create a difference? And when we are basically not in a, and when we are working on an aspect where not a similar kind of device is available, so how we can justify that if nobody else have picked up such concept or such kind of idea, then why we are working on as a startup and how we will succeed in that?
No, first and foremost, I think your idea has to be different. Your idea cannot be a me too, because if it's a me too, it has to have some reason why people would choose your product over something else. And if you're saying that you've got an idea which is very different to what is there in the market, that's what you're trying to build and differentiate and market.
Yes.
Right? So I'm saying that, look, that's what a startup is. A startup has to come up with a new idea, even if it's an old product, but you have improved on it, or you're using it differently, or you've got some good idea about how this can be used in a very different way. I think that is your idea, and you have to make it work. It doesn't matter whether it's a big company or not. And look, you have to understand, this is a world where everybody will compete.
Yes,
please understand, you cannot say that, how do I build a startup if bigger companies have got, yes, bigger companies have access to better technologies, but you have to be more innovative.
Yes, ma'am.
You have to think, what is it that makes me so different? And how do I compete with the big guys if that's what you're worried about?
Yes, our idea is different. So many times what is happening, we have to answer that if you are working on a very noble idea where no such kind of device globally is available, then why nobody has picked up this idea?
No, that is not a reason why nobody should ask that question. According to me, I also had that same problem when I was starting up this company. Okay, 40 years ago when I started up Biocon, and I was trying to scale up a homegrown technology making enzymes. And the financial institution said, "Arey Baba, why are you trying to develop some new technology? There are some existing technologies. Why don't you in-license that, import it, and do your technology that way?" I said, "Arey, I don't want to do that. I want to develop my own technology."
Yes,
and that is what venture funding is for. So if you have such a good idea, I'm sure if you can articulate it and if you can push your idea in a very different way, people will back it. Very often I find that the reason you get pushed back is because you cannot articulate your idea clearly. So
Okay.
you must learn to articulate your idea and tell people why it's so exciting. Why is it so different? And that nobody else has thought of it and you have thought of this and you think you can make a big business of it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you for your inputs, ma'am. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
I now invite next Ms. Anmol Saxena, founder of Ashwa Tech. Anmol, over to you.
Hello, good afternoon, Kiran madam. So my name is Anmol Saxena. I'm the founder of Ashwa Tech. The problem we're trying to solve is that of knee pain. 1 in 4 adult Indian basically suffers from knee pain, and we don't even understand the root cause of it. We just blindly try to get into the healthcare and try to get rid of pain by just some medication or steroids or something. So our technology is basically a wearable system that quantifies or digitizes why your knee is paining, gives you root cause analysis, and basically tells you what you should be focusing on in physiotherapy. It's a wearable-based reporting system. So, ma'am, my question to you is, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, do you see that the healthcare system in India over the coming years is going to be decentralized to the home of the patient, or do you still think that we will continue to be a hospital-based medical healthcare ecosystem?
No, I think the trends clearly suggest that home care is going to be a big business. Point of care, home care, personalized care is going to be a huge business opportunity. So you can see that someone like Portia, who started many years ago, trying to offer this home care services, was not so successful all these years. But suddenly the pandemic came and then nobody could go to hospitals because of COVID, right? So everyone started using Portia to come and get some of those things delivered at home. And once they got used to that, now they don't want to go to the hospital. So I think people have started realizing and appreciating the benefit of home care. And I don't think anybody wants to go to hospitals unless they have to. And today, with all the teleconsulting and the what you can do with doctors on a Zoom call, I think it's going to be very, very interesting, because even if you're even if you have this kind of a product that you're talking about, you can actually share that data with your doctor. And the doctor can then say, okay, I prescribe this kind of treatment, or please come and visit me in my clinic. I need to see something more. Right?
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Super. Thank you. I now invite Rahul Patri, founder of Doctrinal. Rahul, over to you.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Kiran Mazumdar Shaw. Thank you so much for your time today. A quick question around FDA trials for startups. We are a 5-year-old startup. We have already partially completed our clinical trials in India with MSMF/NH. But in the aspiration to move to, say, US or Europe would need an FDA or CE approval. So what we've also learned is the US FDA or software as a medical device, that's exactly where we fit in. They would want US subject data and not necessarily accept the Indian cohort data. So given the paucity of funds and we get a cue that you said, look for a partner and so on, but any additional thoughts or suggestions you could provide for startups to reach there, to get there to a US FDA trial?
So first and foremost, you got data from India. So that is
Yes.
like a good validation of what you're trying to do. So that could be a good proof of concept data to start with. And based on that, you could, go to the US, look for either partners, or if you got the money, you could do a small trial, talk to FDA and see whether you could do a bridging study on a smaller number of subjects. I don't know how many people you've done it on. But if you can basically say that, look, we'd like to basically file an IND in the US based on all this data that we've got. and we'd like to look for a pivotal study that can get us approval, you have a chat with them if you can afford to do a trial in the US. If not, then your product should be good enough. And the reason you want US FDA approval is to market it in the US. So if you want to do that, then you should either look for a partner who's willing to invest in that trial, or if you think you can do it yourself and take it to the market in the US, then you have to find a sponsor who can help you do that. And I don't know what your software does, but if it is very, if it's very unique and if it is very differentiated, I don't think you'll have much of a problem.
Sure, ma'am. We are non-invasively screening for pulmonary ailments, and we have started with pulmonary tuberculosis at MSMF in the past, back in 2019, followed by COVID-19. And we have good enough data, close to 1,000 subjects from India. A registered trial that was conducted at NH and MSMF. So we'll definitely scout for a partner or a sponsor. Thank you so much for your advice, Mrs. Kiran.
Rahul, on a lighter note, took the opportunity to pitch his idea to Mrs. Kiran Shaw here. I have another question for you, ma'am. Something that you've also experienced in your life. Personally, I've successfully failed twice as an entrepreneur. How do you come back after multiple failures? How do you deal with failures? How do you strike back?
Well, it's often said that when you failed, you know exactly, and if you want to, and if you've tried again, then you actually know the kind of mistakes you made in your previous ventures, and that when you get into the next venture, it also means you have an entrepreneurial spirit, that failure doesn't deter you. And that's a very important trait of entrepreneurs. If failure doesn't deter you, then you will keep trying out newer ideas. And you'll know what didn't work in the last time around, and you won't make the same mistakes again. So hopefully you will finally hit upon an idea that will work.
Super. So you keep trying, be perseverant in your journey, and yeah, you will hit the jackpot someday.
Well, I'm just saying that, the fact that you want to keep trying over and over again, it means you have an entrepreneurial spirit. So it's, you shouldn't feel bad that you failed a couple of times, but if you can really get a good idea, one of them might work.
Super. Thank you. For our next question, I invite Dr. Jyotirmay Dash from Terra Lumen Solutions. Jyotirmay, over to you.
Hi, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes, you are.
A very good afternoon, and it's a good opportunity to talk to you. We are so lucky. So I'm Dr. Jyoti and the founder of Terra Lumen Solutions. So we have built a device which can detect cancer margin accurately and rapidly during surgery. And we are working on breast cancer and oral cancer margin detection. So I have been part of MSMF last 3 to 4 months. My question is similar to the previous one. Like, we are talking to so many investors and so many people, and when we'll get the feedback, which is like rejection feedbacks, so many times we'll keep on, no, your idea is not going to work. And again,
but your idea is very good. I think your idea is extremely important for surgeries. And I think your idea that, okay, I've got technology or whatever your technology is to give you the clear margins is a very important data point for any surgeon.
Exactly, ma'am, exactly.
Okay.
Yes, those are the
So why would somebody say that your idea is not good? Anybody will be willing to back that idea, because if you can get doctors to say and obviously you must have tried it with some of the doctors to say, please use our technology and tell us. And
yes,
you do need to have some proof of concept. And if you have all this data, why will people not back you?
So not an idea. The thing is, like, when we talk to investors, they say, yeah, your problem statement is clear, but you need like so much time to go to market. So immediate returns, they will not see from us. So this is what we got.
What is your time to market?
So we are already in the validation, in the early validation stage. Now we'll go to the surgical validation at MSMF. So another 1 to 1.5 years it will take for us.
But that's nothing.
Exactly, ma'am. So when we'll not get backed up, like when we'll get the acceptance from the investors, how to keep your drive
No, but
on?
why don't you go to BIRAC? Why don't you go to KBITS? There are a lot of funds that are available, which are looking for these innovative ideas. And I think if
Yes,
you
ma'am.
have
I am a
doctor
BIRA
advocate,
grantee. Yes, ma'am. Yes. I am a BIRA grantee.
okay, fine. So if you have doctor advocacy for your product, then you
Yes,
should
ma'am.
take those doctors to investors to say why this is so important. And if you have a business model to back it, then I think venture funds will back you. You have to
Yes,
basically scope the idea, scope the business potential. Saying
exactly,
that
ma'am.
this is what I'm going to market. This is how large my business can be. Right?
Got it. Got it. Yes, ma'am. So most of the times this product, as I said, is a technology product and it's a capex oriented product. So my product cost itself is around 30 lakhs.
Yeah, but it's important for every hospital to have one, no?
Exactly, ma'am. Exactly. Yes.
So if you say that, look, I'm targeting, if I just target whatever, the number of OTs in cancer hospitals, I'll be able to sell X number of units.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Exactly.
So that's how you have to market it.
Thank you. Thank you for those inputs. I now invite Hemali Sangani, co-founder Therimessence. I'm not sure if I pronounced it right, Hemali. I'm sorry for that, but over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Rohit, and thank you, ma'am, for this opportunity. My question goes back to, the exponential growth aspect, what you mentioned. So we are a startup at this stage, and what my startup does is like we manufacture antimicrobial textiles, which have been clinically proven to reduce various bacterial, fungal, and viral infections. We had also got a study done at MSMF. Like what the example you gave, that is like specifically what we relate to, right? Like we started with like 1 CR revenue, then the next year it was double the growth. But now we want to actually, go to that exponential growth stage. So what all changes a startup has to think about or keep in mind to get prepared for that exponential growth? Because right now we are a lean startup, right? And how should we prepare ourselves so that we can really achieve that exponential growth?
Yeah, so I don't know your business model very well, but I assume that either you're making the garments or you're getting it made somewhere. I don't know what you're doing, whether you're outsourcing it or doing it yourself.
So currently we are using like facilities, the manufacturing facilities, to get our garments manufactured, the fabric manufactured, out of which we are basically making the medical clothing. So clothing for the doctors, for the patients, and various aspects. So it is a lean startup like Capex Light. But yes, the technology.
So fine, it doesn't matter whether you're Capex Light. I mean, you're outsourcing everything that you need. You're a virtual startup. But I think what you need to now focus on is marketing, because your product opportunity is very, very large. And what you need to do is to really focus on business development and marketing and packaging. I think that's what you need to do. You need to brand, you need to package, and you need to market. That's where I would spend a lot of my effort.
Okay. And then how we would recommend like a innovative startup like ours? Like over the last few years, we had been investing a lot on the R&D side to make our technology very strong, right? But now, as you mentioned, right, that we will have to start focusing a lot on the marketing side as well. So has an organization...
But that does not mean that you stop R&D, right? R&D continues, but you need to add on, you need to bolt on a marketing business development team.
Right.
Right? That's what you need to do.
Okay, sure.
Great.
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. And we move towards our last question. And our last question, ma'am, is from Dr. Manjula Das. She is in fact a part of MSMF, our principal investigator at MSMF. She has a question for you. Dr. Manjula, I hand it over to you.
Good afternoon, ma'am. So I have a question from you, for you, which is either for a startup or even for a translational research center. The one major problem which the startups or the translational research centers are facing is to find a right VC or a partner. That we might have an idea, we might have even a product. So how do we reach the right VC or a partner with our product?
You know, in India, there are a handful of VCs, so you should know
Right.
about them. And you should obviously approach every one of them. The other thing which I also didn't dwell upon is that some of you startups should actually look at combining with other similar startups and see whether you can actually build a larger model. You know what I mean? Like, if there's another company that is doing something similar to you but complementary, you can actually merge and create a bigger entity and see whether collectively you can attract more funding. So things like that also you need to look at. But right now, all I can say is there are just very, very few venture funds that are willing to invest in life tech. And it is your job to really go and, pitch to them.
Okay, that actually brings to my second question is that right now, like last maybe 4 or 5 years, we still see that in India, for different devices, there are funding which are available. But I would want to know from you, who is actually, you have changed the therapeutic world in India. So if we have newer therapeutic products, where do we go to? Because we really don't know that how to approach, because especially as a translational research lab, only place that we can go to is maybe BIRAC, DBT for funding, but it stops there. That once the project is over, we don't know how to take it further, or how to take it to actually where to take that also we don't know. How do we approach these different companies, different partners?
So maybe what I will suggest is that this incubator should actually look at creating a small interaction. I think you should have regular interactions and invite VCs to your center and keep allowing all of you to make elevator pitches to them. So I would suggest that every quarter, the Nest incubator at MSMF should actually have a investor day where you invite VCs to come and listen to all of you, pitch to them.
Thank you. That's exactly what I was just looking for. Is it possible that we also invite, say, companies like therapeutic companies? Will they be interested in coming for this kind of sessions?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like
if you think there are any target companies who should be interested in your products, then please do call them.
Okay.
Yes, Dr. Manjula, we will organize one.
Sure.
Yeah, actually, we have planned for a investor meet very soon. So we'll create the portfolios and put it on this one, and we will. That is actually next on the agenda now that we are on a 1-year trajectory.
Yeah.
Super. Thank you so much, and thank you for all your advice, all your inputs, ma'am. I'm sure that this is going to go a long way with everyone. I have a small request. If all of us could switch on our camera, we could click a pic of attending our session today with ma'am and put it up on our social media handle. So request all of you to just quickly switch on your videos and we'll be able to take the pic. Can we do that faster, please? Okay, all right. Thank you. 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much again, Mr. Shaw. This was really helpful, very, very inspiring. We will keep in touch with you, keep you posted about success and progress of all of these enterprises through the multiple management meetings and initiatives. And Dr. Paul will keep you abreast with the progress of this and all these enterprises. Thank you again for making time this afternoon to inspire all these enterprises. And we look forward to collaborating with you and Biocon for more initiatives, more collaborations, and working together.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you for today's interaction and opportunity. Thank you very much. Thank you.